We are here to talk about Newcastle United, a team that I haven't spoken about for a fair while. Very much up and down in the form throughout the season until December. And do you know what? I actually think Newcastle United could push for Europe. And if they continue on this trajectory and they get consistency, they may even make top five, top six. Bruno G, the last 5, 6, 7 games has been absolutely ridiculous. Barnes back amongst the goals. 3 wins in a row. And what's crazy as well, I was meaning to cover the Leeds result, and I got absolutely swamped with other work that was going on. But they've beaten Burnley, they've beaten Palace, and they've beaten Leeds, and they've got a decent FA Cup fixture. Then they play Manchester City in the League Cup, which they've got a really good record in, and then they play Wolves and PSV. Is it crazy for me to say that I can see them winning their next 4 games, which would make it 7 wins in a row? And I honestly see Eddie Howe now, Livramento can't even get in the team because young Lewis Smiley at age 19, who's a midfielder, is playing at right back. There's a lot to get into. Make sure you go down and drop a like on the video. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button. The road to 100,000 subscribers is well and truly on. We'll be covering their FA Cup game tomorrow. But this was the lineup that played in their win over Leeds United. And this is Leeds United, by the way. I've got Calvert-Lewin, who's on decent form. Aronson scored against Manchester United, followed it up with 2 goals against them. And it was very much end to end, and it was open. Malik Chow went off, didn't have his best game, was at fault for one of the goals. Cher may have picked up a knock. But I want to talk about 3 players. And I want to talk about Miley, Bruno G, and Harvey Barnes. And I'm going to start with Bruno Guimaraes. For me, how he does not get the praise of a very close to a world-class central midfielder. I always hear about Enzo Fernandez. I always hear about Declan Rice. I always hear about Caicedo. I always hear about Rodri. I always hear about, what Tielemans has done at Villa this season. But Bruno G is so important to everything that Newcastle do. He's their captain. I'm pretty sure, isn't he their highest goal scorer this season as well? Which is mad considering, the forward line they've got isn't exactly poor. He is their highest goal scorer. He's got 8 goals and 3 assists this season in the league. We know what Newcastle are like in this cup coming up against City at the weekend. He's very, very, very good. And in recently, scored probably man of the match against Burnley, scored very good against Palace, scored and got an assist against Leeds United. Before that, he scored against us in a 2-2 draw. He scored against Burnley before that. I genuinely think that recently, especially since December, they have gone up a gear. 100% they have gone up a gear. In their 2-1 win over City, he got an assist. He was very important in their win last year over Liverpool in the Cup. Very important home and away against Arsenal. And that midfield, we haven't seen it a lot this season because Tonali's missed some games. Joelinton's missed some games. But that midfield, and I've said, you can go back to all my videos of last season. That midfield is as good as anyone when it's fully fit. Tonali, Joelinton, and Bruno G, for me, that's as good as Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, and Palmer. That's as good as Declan Rice, Zubimendi, and Odegaard. That's as good as Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, or Gravenberch, McAllister, Wirtz. It's got all of the potential to go and win major honours. The only area where I think Liverpool, because we were just speaking about bloody Wirtz, the only area where I think Newcastle can strengthen, especially this window, is they need to bring a centre-back in for me. They have been heavily linked with Gahey. And the one player that hasn't gone up to the levels I thought he would is Gordon. I think he's only got 2 goals this season in all comps. He has got, been very good in the Champions League from the spot, scored a few penalties. But, Voltemard's been good as well. 7 goals, 2 assists. Harvey Barnes, I think he's on double digits for goals this season now, or very close to double digits. Got a brace against Leeds. And I look at their run of games they've got coming up, and I look at them in the table right now. I do think they are a dark horse to get into Europe. Now, this season, this Premier League is as congested as we've ever seen it. There is only 5 points between 14th and 5th, and 6th, which is mad. Absolutely mad to me. I honestly believe that with the fixtures they got coming up, the way they're playing, I think they can go on and I really do think they can go on and push for Europe. Like 3 wins on the bounce, decent fixtures coming up. Everyone's like Eddie Howe. I feel like Newcastle fans go through this cycle of when results don't go their way, everyone's quickly to judge Eddie Howe and say, oh, we don't want him, etc. We, the money we've got, the stadium we've got, the fan base we've got, we need to push for better. And then all of a sudden, Eddie Howe, when he is getting criticised, just pulls 3 or 4 results out of the bag, and all of a sudden they're on their way back into Europe. They're currently in the Champions League this season. They're currently, as it stands, 6th in the Premier League. Their fixtures, right? They've won their last 3. Is it crazy? Look, Villa, PSG, and Liverpool, that's very, very difficult, right? But the first 5, let's include the Villa game, actually. St. James's Park is a different stadium to most in the Premier League. It's very, very difficult to play against. And their home form, they're currently sitting 5th in the home league table. 11 games, 7 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. The only teams that have beaten them this season have been Liverpool and Arsenal at home in the Premier League. I believe they beat Bournemouth in the FA Cup. I believe they beat Manchester City in the League Cup as well. I honestly do. Wolves, they're in the absolute pits. And I think they go and beat PSV. I think they win the next 4. I really, really do. Aston Villa is going to be tough. PSG and Liverpool is going to be those next 3. How many games they got this month? They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games this month. Let's talk about between now and the PSV game. They got 4 games in 11 days. Rotation is going to be very important. To maximize their squad is going to be really, really important as well. And as we've seen, they have been doing that recently. Voltemada is not necessarily playing full 90s. Gordon's coming off. Barnes is then playing 90s. Botman comes in. Livramento comes in. They've also got Johan Wieser and Ramsey and Murphy that they can come in off the bench. Elanga, I believe, is back later this month. And I believe Dan Burn is back later this month with Asula. So their squad will be tested throughout this month. But based off their recent performances, beating Burnley, 2 wins at home, I think they win their next 4 games. Bearing in mind, 3 of those are at home. Newcastle's record this season is very, very good at St. James's Park. City at the moment aren't the City we've seen, in recent years. But I definitely believe they beat Bournemouth. And who knows? If they bring maybe a player in this month, I don't know if they're actually going to be massively busy. I know Livramento has been linked to a move away to Arsenal because Miley's recent form has put him in at right back where he has been very, very good. Again, another player that isn't getting spoken about enough. I believe that the way they're playing, if they can turn some of those draws into into victories, I think they can push for top 4. Liverpool, very, very hit and miss at the moment, in terms of, I know they've won, 2 of their last 5, but they are drawing games. And where Chelsea are drawing, Newcastle have been picking up wins. Where Man United have been drawing, Newcastle have been picking up wins. And they've got Wolves next in the league. I don't want to say that's a guaranteed 3 points because Wolves, who knows? But as it stands, you'd be absolutely stupid to bet against this Newcastle United team. Bruno G, Barnes, Joe Linton, all performing, all firing on all cylinders. Malik Chow's been a really, really good signing this season. He's only still 24 years of age. He's been very, very good since coming in from AC Milan in the summer. So, yeah, the way they're playing, the form they're on, the fixture they got coming up, I do think a lot of Newcastle fans should be excited. If they get past Man City in the cup, I'll back them to win the League Cup. And Eddie Howe's record, I think he's made the final and won it in the last 2 seasons. He's only had one defeat in the League Cup in the last 2 years. So you'd be stupid to bet against this Newcastle United team in that competition. Plus, not only that, Wisa will, when he gets fully up to speed, because bearing in mind he has had a big injury, he scored 19 league goals last year. If they can get the Wisa from last year, they really can go on and kick on and improve. In terms of February throughout their fixture list, it's not going to be easy. Like I said, that Villa, PSG, and Liverpool game, you're really going to see what the Newcastle United squad's made of. But as it stands right now, 3 wins in a row. 4 of the next 5 games are at St. James's Park, where they've only lost 2 games. I think they've only lost 3 in all comps this season. 1 was against Barcelona, 1 was against Arsenal, 1 was against Liverpool. So let me know your thoughts. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. I'm out.